And so it has begun. If you live in Canada, in certain parts, they're seizing your land to give it back to the First Nations Indigenous. Decolonization right before your eyes. And you know what? It'll happen here in the United States. They will take your home from you, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Now, hold on. I know, I'm being a dick. There's nothing you can do to stop it if the left wins. It will happen. We can see it happening in Canada. The gist of the story is that Canadian cities said, you know what? After a court hearing, this land actually belongs to Native Americans, so your home is theirs. Sorry, did you pay for it? The left wants to do the exact same thing here in the United States. It's not about restoring land to its rightful owners. It's about stealing your stuff and whether or not you will let them do it. Well, the funny thing is, a few months ago, King Charles gave Canada back. He did. Now, when you search for it, I love it. Google's AI is like, no, he didn't give back Canada. He just acknowledged that they were on land that didn't belong to them. So basically, it was a land acknowledgement. He was saying to the Native Americans, this is your land, we are just on it, which is effectively giving it back to the Native Americans. He's saying, we have no right to this land. It is the unceded territory of the, what do you say, the Algonquin people? I'll pull it up in a second. But let's get to this story here. This is crazy. Aboriginal title to your property. I'd like you to imagine what happens if the left wins. You, young man, are buying your first home. Finally, you're Gen Z. You can finally buy a house. It's been a struggle. You're one of the brave few who's been able to do it. And you say, Lord have mercy. I am lucky. The last chopper out of Nam, right? Because ain't no way Gen Z's buying property. And then one day you get a letter from your local government saying, actually, this house was built on, Arawak land or whatever. Are they still around? And Sioux, Lakota. And then you're like, hold on there a minute. I own this house. Actually, you don't. This land is part of Native American territory as per a treaty, and we decided to give it back. Now, you didn't do anything wrong. You entered into a contract fully believing you had the right to purchase this property, and this is what they're doing in Canada. Not the Bee says, Canadian city tells disarmed citizenry their homes belong to Native tribes after pivotal court ruling, ramifications across the country. Welcome to Richmond, British Columbia, a suburb of the Metro Vancouver. Billboard Chris says, did you work your whole life to buy that $2 million home near Vancouver? Too bad your home is no longer yours. We have this image. Brittany says, congrats, you worked your whole life to buy a home. But someone's great-grandparents might have fished nearby 150 years ago. So the court says it's not really yours. Welcome to British Columbia in 2025. Think it'll stop in Richmond? It won't. The letter says, please take note that the recent BC Supreme Court decision in Cowichan Tribes v. Canada made some very important decisions which could negatively affect the title of your property. A briefing paper prepared by the City of Richmond staff is attached to your reference. If you look at the draft map attached to the briefing, your property is located within the claim area outlined in green. For those whose property is in the area outlined in black, the court has declared Aboriginal title to your property, which may compromise the status and validity of your ownership. This was mandated without any prior notice to the landowners. The entire area outlined in green is claimed on appeal by the Cowichan First Nations. Given the serious implications of this court decision and the pending appeal, the city is hosting an information session to be held on Tuesday, October 28th at 7 p.m. at Richmond City Hall. We hope that you can attend to learn more about this important situation. Oh, Canada. Cry more, I guess. You know what? You're a conquered people. You are conquered. This is a letter the city sent to residents to notify them that their home might belong to natives who once camped there 200 years ago. The thing is, if you want to claim that the land is Native American or whatever, then this would just change, I guess, like township jurisdiction. That's the way I'd say, okay, fine. This means that you're in a different city, which doesn't have that big of an impact, but is still pretty bad in my opinion. Because like, let's say you move out of a town because they got bad taxes or something. And then one day they're like, actually by court order, you're still in the town, you owe taxes. That would suck, right? What they're trying to claim is because a spattering of people, like let's go back in time. What? A couple hundred people on thousands of square miles. Now they're trying to claim that the homes of tens of thousands of people belong to them. Angelo Isidorou says, further context on the Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brody's letter to residents. If your property is in the area outlined in black, the court has declared Aboriginal title to your property, which may compromise the status of ownership. We read this already. The entire we know that. Check it out. Oh man, here you go. Wait, hold on. So if it's in black, your property is owned by Native Americans, and if it's in green, they are continuing their suit to claim they own all of it. That is crazy. You bought a house here, and now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we own it, baby. Good luck. You know, can you defend it? You're being conquered. You've been conquered, really. The people of Canada are being conquered. The mayor said in an interview that many affected property owners were unaware of the ruling and once informed became deeply concerned about what it might mean, prompting the information session. I think this is one of the most significant rulings in the history of the province and maybe the country. I think it potentially could dismantle the land title system, certainly in our province, with ramifications across the country. Justice Barbara Young's 863-page ruling, in what was billed as the longest trial in Canada's history, said the Cowichan tribes have established Aboriginal title to roughly 800 acres in the city, as well as an Aboriginal right to fish for food. Oh, my God. You know what'll happen here? It'll happen here. There are a few statements in that quote that should perk up your ears. A liberal female judge issued an 863-page ruling ordering that private properties, some of which have been in families for generations, must return to the hands of a nomadic tribe that once loosely lived on the lands hundreds of years ago, long before anyone who was currently alive was ever born. The matter was so important to the judge and other liberal allies that it was the longest trial in Canada's history. It is also seen as setting a precedent for confiscating property across the nation. Let's invade Canada. Yeah, that Trump needs to invade. We need to send a battalion of troops, just go in and take Canada by force. I'm kidding, by the way. My point there is that, Canadians, what are you going to do about it? You know, we talked about Canada becoming the 51st state for so long, and these Canadians were like, oh, don't you do it. I got more threats, actually, pre-Charlie Kirk assassination. Me saying Canada should be the 51st state, I said something like, we'll be greeted in Canada as liberators. I got more death threats from that than anything prior. After the Charlie Kirk thing, it's been a lot worse, to be fair. But Canadians were pissed. You know what? Your words mean nothing, Canada. I say we go and take it because you're giving it up anyway. I'll put it this way. We conquered the Native Americans before. We'll do it again. I'm kidding. But the argument is if Canada is not willing to defend their land, we can just take it. What are they going to do to stop it, right? Man, who'd have thought Montreal would be so easy to seize? Aboriginal title refers to ownership rights by Indigenous peoples to territories their ancestors traditionally lived on and never ceded. Courts have confirmed that it is constitutionally protected, giving Indigenous peoples jurisdictional authority over ownership and occupation, as well as the right to determine how the land is used. If you're wondering what historical and legal evidence the judge used to make her pivotal ruling, well, the natives' great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers used to fish in this general area every summer. So that apparently makes them the owners of everything now. The Cowichan tribes, whose home territory is on Vancouver Island, in centuries past traveled en masse to the area on the south arm of the Fraser River, where they had an annual summer fishing village. They were displaced from the village in the mid-1800s as the British took control, and after BC joined Canada, the land was sold over the years. The spokesman for the Cowichan tribe, Robert Morales, said they don't plan to take anyone's home. The nations have always stated that they're not interested in and not wanting to displace the ordinary British Columbian from their land, understanding that it's a pretty serious position to take. Mr. Morales, who is a member of the Cowichan tribe, said in an interview. I'll tell you what's going to happen, though. They'll likely say, we're not taking anyone's home. Then, when the current residents are either moving or try to sell it, they'll say, it's got to go to us, or something like that. Or we get a cut, or they'll intervene. The reason is, it's a light touch. You don't want to be too aggressive, but you want the land. You want the homes. You want the resources. If you come in and say we're taking it by force, there will be a backlash, which could negatively impact other court cases. If you say, no, it just means that we're the township effectively in control of this land, which means you now pay taxes to us instead of the city you were paying taxes to before, nothing will change for you. That's the smart way to go about it, because they'll make money, they'll own the land. Then, when they try to transfer ownership of the land, there will be some kind of intervention. The governments of British Columbia and Richmond are appealing the ruling. In the meantime, the city has 18 months to make necessary arrangements for the land to be handed over to the tribe. Sure is great that the Canadian government made their citizens safer. Well, check us out. King Charles, as British overlord of Canada, offers land acknowledgement in Ottawa address to Parliament. It was the Anishebeg and the Algonquin. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was the Algonquin Anishinaabe. Is that how you say it? I thought it was Anishibeg. Am I wrong? I thought. Oh, yeah. No. Anishinabeg? Algonquian Anishinabeg? That's what it is? Anishinabeg. Anishinaabe? Anishinaabe, and I thought it was the Anishibeg as well. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't know. Anishinabeg. Memory, not always perfect. So basically he said, I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people, the king said near the beginning of his so-called throne speech. Okay, they're going to sue, and they're going to win. And your land is their land. So there you go, Canada. You get what you sow. You reap what you sow. You get what you vote for. Canada's conquered. Y'all are conquered. Sorry, man. I mean, that's reality. It ain't going to happen here. We won't let it. Smash that like button. Share the show. Stay tuned. If you made it this far, join our Discord server at timcast.com. Community is our strength. Do not let these land stealers win in this country. Join the Discord community. Make friends. Unify. Find strength in numbers. They say diversity is our strength, but what they mean is it's theirs, fracturing us, dividing us, and conquering us. Join the Timcast Discord server. Support the work we do. Tens of thousands of people are waiting to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.